Homemaking when you are just not in a good way. I have been in a lot of pain lately. I recently got injured, and I'm only laughing because of the way it happened. I actually tripped over. It's always the Legos. Like, I don't know what it is about Legos, but they are a danger to parents. I ended up tripping over a Lego when I stood up from the couch from nursing and did something funny with my knee. And so I've been wearing a knee brace and barely the last maybe 2 weeks or so haven't been able to put a lot of pressure on it. Now, it's not so dramatic that I can't walk or anything like that, but it's just been, you know, I've just been in pain. And this day that I'm filming, I am feeling so much better. It still hurts a little bit, but nothing compared to what it was several days prior. So I am just playing a game of catch up, you guys, because I have not been in the kitchen nearly as much as normal, and I wanted to just meal prep, get some things done, get ahead of my week. I am sitting having some coffee and putting my leg up to let some blood flow go to it, wearing my knee brace. I do not like this thing. It is uncomfortable, so it ends up coming off for like the first time in several days. I mean, I took breaks from wearing it, but it was just really nice to fully take it off majority of the day. To just have it off majority of the day. I have some chicken broth going as well as some bread that I baked the day prior. I am just trying to get ahead of my week because when you cook a lot from scratch, you just feel like you have always so much to do and always want to have things going on the stove or in the oven. And if you guys are new here, hello, my name is Noelle. I do all kind of homemaking content and thrifting and really anything that has to do with the home, baking, cooking from scratch. Love to do it. And yeah, so welcome if you're new. We are a low income family of 5. I am showing you some English muffin dough that I had going. All recipes will be in the description if I actually have a recipe and I'm not just cooking from, memory or measuring with my heart, because I do that a lot. That's just kind of how I roll. I thought it would be fun to open my Ballerina Farm box that just arrived at my doorstep when I was filming this video. So I thought it would be fun to unbox it together. I got some Farmer's Protein. I got 2 different kinds. I got 2 different flavors. I got a vanilla bean and a creamy chocolate. And then I also got this really cute apron. I love a good gingham print. I am a sucker for a good gingham print. And I love the colors of this one, that beautiful green and like creamy white color. So I love the apron. Very nice. It has pockets. And the protein powder is really, really good. I am not a fan of protein powder, okay? I am not. The protein powder has collagen and colostrum in it. And if you don't know what colostrum is, it is the good stuff that comes before the actual milk. Humans get it too when they are breastfeeding, but so do cows. And oftentimes cows or calves can't drink all of the colostrum, and it's really good. It has a lot of good benefits. So I've been enjoying that protein powder so much. Haven't tried the vanilla just yet, but the creamy chocolate I've been enjoying for over a week, and it's so good. And I don't even like protein powder, you guys. Like, usually typically not a fan because I don't like the way they taste, but this one is really good. So Ballerina Farm did a really good job with the protein powder. I hope you guys don't hear my dryer. It finally just went off in the background. I also have a fire crackling and a baby snoring as I am filming this voiceover. But if I don't do it now, right now in this moment, it's not going to get done. I'm a little bit behind in making content because of my knee. And so I've just been out the game, okay? So we have been homemaking in pain the last few weeks, and I just haven't been on my feet too much. My husband's been a big help. I'm so grateful that he has been around to pick up a lot of the slack, as well as my mom. So shout outs to them. But today we are trying to get as much done as we can in the kitchen. So we have some good homemade meals and homemade breakfast foods and little snacks, things like that. Some of the family favorites. I am cutting out my English muffins, and I am rolling them in a little bit of cornmeal. I have made English muffins before without cornmeal, and honestly, it's just not the same. Now, these are just regular yeasted English muffins. I typically make sourdough English muffins, but I just did not feel like the day before prepping the dough, letting it sit overnight. And honestly, it's not that difficult, feeding my starter, all of that good stuff, but I didn't feel like doing that. And lately with sourdough, I love sourdough recipes, but I also sometimes just don't want to like do all that the day before. And I just use yeast because, sourdough has good health benefits, good gut benefits, and all that good bacteria that sourdough offers. But sometimes I just need something more quick and convenient. And so here we are. We're just using regular yeast, and that is totally fine. But I do love a good sourdough English muffin. But today we are just using yeast. I mixed up some graham cracker dough, and I will leave this recipe down below because I do have it, as well as the English muffin recipe. I have all of the notes. I have all my recipes just in my notes that I develop over time and tweak. If you guys ever have questions, feel free to reach out to me because, like I said, it's not like a cookbook or a blog. It is just coming straight from my notes, and I try my hardest to make the directions clear and measurements precise, but it's not perfect. One day I would love to have a blog for you guys or somewhere where you guys can just go and get recipes easy and not always just have to check the description. But we're going to work on that. That's a goal for this year. And my kids absolutely love these homemade graham crackers. They ask for them often. This graham cracker recipe is very simple and very easy to whip together really quick. It is 2 sticks of butter. I think about 2.5 cups. I have to see. I'll just leave the recipe down below. You're going to need whole wheat flour, all purpose flour, sugar. It's simple and it's really, really good too. I like to always add a little bit of honey. And I love to keep them, I don't like them super, super crispy, just a little bit of crunch to them, but not too much, just on the outer. And then the inner, I want it to be more soft, kind of like a Trader Joe's graham cracker if you ever tried one of those. So those are really tasty. So I like them kind of thick as well when you make the graham crackers. I don't want them too thin, but like I said, I don't like them to be too crispy, but have like a nice kind of like cakey middle, but not really. I don't know how to describe it, but not like truly like a graham cracker. You can roll them thinner if you want to and bake them longer, but I like mine to be not so crispy and kind of soft in the middle. Really, really good though. And very simple to make. If you want to get into baking and cooking from scratch, honestly, graham crackers is a really good entry way into it. It's not too intimidating and it's kind of fun to do with kids as well. And this makes a decent amount of graham crackers just in one batch. So I will again leave the recipe down below. I do feel like the last few weeks that I haven't really been so much on my feet, I have really found such an appreciation. Not like I already didn't appreciate all the time that I spend in the kitchen, but whenever I'm pulled away from heavily basically living in my kitchen, because I am always making something almost every single day. I call it like my kitchen project time. If I'm not marathoning in the kitchen, which means I'm just like making things back to back in one day or in a few days, then I always have like little kitchen project times where I either experiment time in my days for a little kitchen project that I love to work on and experiment with recipes and tweak recipes and all of that good stuff and see what I like best and what works best, what I would like to add or take away. And I really enjoy that. I love recipe testing. I love trying other people's recipes and seeing how they turn out. And I love being in the kitchen. And so not being able to really do that, like when I was postpartum, it's always such a precious time, but also I miss like my everyday. I don't really have a routine, but I have rhymes is what I call it. And I just I just really appreciate being in my kitchen and the luxury of time. As we get older, I will never take for granted my time. The fact that I can make English muffins on a Tuesday afternoon and meal prep for my family, make graham crackers, do all of the things that I do on a daily basis. Now, I'm not saying I don't have like days where I just sit around, nurse my baby, and watch Netflix, because of course I do. We all need those days. Rest is important, rest is productive, whether we want to think of it as production or not, as well as our value as women or as people is not placed in how much we produce. But yeah, our value is not measured in our productivity and how much we can do in a day. Like I said, rest days are super important, and I always want to say that because I feel like a lot of people watch these kind of videos and think like, "Oh my gosh, like she's doing all this and I feel tired and I'm overstimulated or I'm fighting depression." Whatever it may be, everyone's situation is different. And again, rest days are just very important. So, I'm not going to show myself just watching Netflix all day and nursing my baby because that's not interesting, right? Only when I choose to get up and do stuff am I filming it for you guys, okay? Anyway, I'm trying to make my egg McMuffins. Why do I call them egg McMuffins? They're English muffins, but they're really good, obviously, to make egg McMuffins with. So we do that too, but oftentimes we'll just like cut them in half, have some butter or some jam on there, and it's just really easy. You can even do avocado toast with them, and they're delicious. So these are just yeasted English muffins. I will leave that recipe down below. I took my sourdough one and adapted it to yeast, which is really easy to do if you are a sourdough baker. I love to take my recipes and make them sourdough or make them just with regular yeast because I know a lot of you guys don't have a sourdough starter, and I am working on a whole little series for that coming very soon. But yeah, I love to adapt my recipes from sourdough to yeast and just have fun playing around back and forth with that because sometimes, like I said, I don't want to do sourdough and I just want to do still homemade, but make it a little bit more convenient because I feel like, being a mom, having a baby, having 3 children, being a homeschool mom, sometimes we just really do need convenience, and that is okay. The baby is playing in my mouth. She always wants to stick her little hands and fingers in my mouth. I cannot believe that in a few months she will be 1 years old. That is wild to me. She is still very clingy and she loves to be held. So we still baby wear. She doesn't like to be baby worn in the back though. I've tried that and she really doesn't like that. So we are still baby wearing in the front. Do not worry. She is away from the stove. I make sure that she's away from the stove when I'm wearing her, and I make sure I'm 100% safe, of course, because safety is always the main priority. I am putting the English muffins in a cast iron and I have oil. I'm using avocado oil, I showed you earlier, even though I was yapping and forgot to say. But yes, I use avocado oil, which is a non toxic oil, which is great. A neutral oil that doesn't have really much flavor, which is what you want for something like. I'm going to have a ginger ale Olipop. Those are like my favorite. I like so many of the Olipops though, not just the ginger ale. I like the vintage cola one and the Dr. Goodwin, I think, the cream soda and yada yada. I like a few of them. They're pretty good. And they're a good probiotic soda option, so a lot healthier. I'm not a soda person anyway though. I don't really like soda. My chicken broth is done. It's been simmering on the stove basically all day while I've been doing all of the things, homeschooling and making graham crackers, English muffins, cleaning up my house, playing with my children, all of the things. It's been on the stove. You hear the snoring, baby. Yeah, so I am just going to strain that off, take the chicken out, and discard the vegetables because they're just overcooked and super soggy. We are going to make chicken noodle soup with this on another night, so I really just wanted to have that done. And so it has time to set and gel. If you're making chicken broth or any kind of broth, bone broth, which is really good and nutritious, you want to it actually sealed itself when I put it in the jar because it was still pretty warm. So I didn't even need, you could, I guess, keep that long term and it would be good. And you wouldn't have to probably can it because it sealed itself, which is crazy when that happens. I'm not sure. Let me know down below. If it seals itself, would you have to still can it and put it through the canning process? But it did have a pop and it did seal itself when I put the warm broth in there. Anyway, so this is like several days later. I'm just showing you that it gelled and all of the fat and everything kind of came to the top. And you don't have to put the fat in if you want a clear broth, but by adding the fat, a few of you told me you like to add the fat. It gives a little bit more nutrition. But if you want the broth to look more clear, not so cloudy and oily, if you remove the extra fat, it will do that. But I've been leaving the fat in because, why not? Who doesn't want some extra nutrition? I boiled up some noodles and I made some meatballs, a very simple meatball. I don't really have a recipe. It's just honestly pork, beef, herbs like parsley, oregano, salt, pepper, sugar. What else do I add? My homemade breadcrumbs from our sandwich bread. And what else do I add? 2 eggs, very simple. Garlic, salt. Oh, I already said, yeah, garlic, salt, garlic, onions. Sometimes I'll add some fresh parsley and just do that. And we are making Swedish meatballs tonight. This is very easy. I made a quick gravy sauce. It is a roux based sauce, and all I did was if you don't know what a roux is, it is flour and butter. Let that set on the stove, mix it around. Then I added chicken broth and heavy cream, and then like salt, pepper, and some other seasonings, and added some other seasonings. And then there you go. Brought it to a boil, let it simmer down, turned it off, and it's a nice thick Swedish meatball sauce. So very delicious, very easy. I ended up adding some more noodles to it later on off camera. I baked up the rest of my graham crackers. These lasted only like 2 days, if that, because my kids absolutely love them. And I love them too. They are so good. They are so good. It would be good with ice cream too. I know that's kind of random, but like these would be so good with ice cream. I don't think I've tried that. But I love breaking them apart. I find it so satisfying. And they're not super crispy, but if you want them crispy, flatten them out a little bit more and let them bake a little bit longer. But like I said, want them to be more kind of like bready in the middle, and they're delicious. And I did have them with some raw milk. Oh my goodness, some good creamy raw milk with a good creamy raw milk is just absolutely delicious. As you can see, they're starting to disappear from the tray already. My kids want these as soon as they come out the oven, and I try to get them to let them set because they are hot, but they just basically watch them the whole time. So we have a bunch of English muffins that I'm just going to bag up and keep for the next 2 weeks. You can freeze them. They freeze really well, as well as store in the refrigerator for lasting a little bit longer. And yeah, so we did a good amount of meal prep this day, and I feel good and confident going into my week, and I can relax a little bit more because obviously I'm trying to heal my knee. But it felt really, really good to get back in the kitchen on my feet and just make some good, simple, home cooked meals or little meal preps that will help with my week. But yeah, so if you have ever been through a season of homemaking when you're just not at your best, or if you're in some kind of pain or going through some kind of healing, you are not alone. We all go through these things in life. Yes, I reuse my plastic bags. I was taking out little crummies from waffles that I made, I don't know, like a few weeks back. And we try to reuse those plastic bags for all of our bread stuff because we don't want to waste any plastic. I already don't love plastic, so I want to reuse them as much as possible. I also reuse my parchment paper because, I don't want to keep buying a whole bunch of parchment paper if it is totally fine. So I probably bake with my parchment paper like I don't even know 10 times before having to throw it away. Basically until the parchment paper doesn't hold up anymore and it starts like cracking on its own, then I throw it away. But yeah, I like to reuse all of that stuff. It's good for your wallet, saves you money, as well as, good for the environment. So I like to reuse. If I'm going to use plastic, I don't like to do like one use plastic. But yeah, I am storing the bread, letting the broth sit out, and getting all of our homemade things just together and ready for the week. And I'm going to store a few of them in the bread box. But then the next day, I ended up freezing some bread as well as putting some English muffins in the freezer as well, and then also some in the refrigerator. It just makes them store a lot longer. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys are having a good week. And a new video will be coming out very soon. I am working hard to get you another one. And thank you for all your patience. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.